Good morning. My name's Tony, and we are starting a brand new series at Gateway. I'm the lead pastor. Welcome, those of you online. We know a lot of you are traveling and been away, and we want to just say that we're glad that you're with us. Glad that you're here today as well. We're going to start this new series for our whole holiday season called Boundless. It is the endless gifts of God with us. And that is what we celebrate at Christmas and this time of year, is the incarnation, that God came to be with us. And so we're excited about this series. Christmas time, as you noticed in the video, Christmas time is this time of year that brings out the nostalgia of the season. I mean, it is a nostalgic time of year for most people. It is that time of year that invokes this feeling of joy and these feelings that we get. Many of us can go back to when we were children and remember those times, and we're trying to create those times now, even in our own families. Have you ever wondered why we do what we do this time of year? I mean, think about the things that we do. I mean, the crazy things. You risk life and limb, literally, life and limb, to climb up a ladder in the 20-degree weather to hang lights on your house. Maybe you've given up on that. Some of you haven't. How many of you have done that at some point in your life? Right. And so why do we do this? Because it's the feeling we get of driving by the house and seeing the lights on, and driving up 100 and seeing the amazing lights of some of the houses, and driving around town. As a matter of fact, some of you have probably even gone to the lighting of the Christmas trees, right? Or the lighting of the communities. There are some communities that actually, they put their whole house on display and they go out and they do all of these things. These are crazy things. Some of us, think about what you do this time of year. Not only the decorations, but think about the money you spend. Or don't. Don't think about it. You prefer not to. The money that you spend, the hours that you spend on decorations and trees and all of the things that you do so that you can just get everything just right. The stress and the busyness of shopping, the parties, the travel, the people coming to your house that you wish wouldn't come to your house, or the people that come to your house that you're very happy to see come to your house, right? Nostalgia. That's a key word for us, and I've got a definition of what nostalgia is. It says nostalgia is a sentimental longing, or this wistful affection for the past. It's kind of this wishful thinking to go back to a period and a place where we have happy memories. I think that we go through what we go through because we want to feel something. We want to feel the joy of waking up in the morning and sitting around the Christmas tree with the lights on and just sitting there in the dark with the candles flickering. There's something about that. If you come on Christmas Eve, this year we'll do our candlelight series. There's something about sitting in this dark room with all of the candles flickering. There's just a feeling that you get that's amazing. We love the feelings that we get this time of year. Or maybe you're like some who just like the food and the presents, right? Nostalgia. Nostalgia is great. I'm a little nostalgic. I like to create environments. I like to go back and feel the season. It's great, but nostalgia is limited in our experience of Christmas. What do I mean by that? Nostalgia is about sentimental feelings, and feelings will come and go. Feelings have boundaries. Feelings are limited because they are at the mercy of a met or unmet expectation that you will have this time of year. Some of you are killing yourself to create the perfect Christmas. And when that feeling doesn't come, you're disappointed. If you don't believe me, come back the week after Christmas and let's talk. They tell us that the week after Christmas is one of the most down and depressing times in America. Because you build up for a whole month to this climactic thing where you get these feelings and this emotion, and then all of a sudden, it's just gone. When people stop being nice to each other, isn't it amazing this time of year how people start to actually be nice to one another once in a while? Or when you're exhausted and you're depressed, or when the warm fuzzies turn into the cold reality of life. You see, nostalgia is limited. It boxes me into the met or unmet expectations of the season. Loved ones will go home. Maybe that's a warm fuzzy for you, I don't know. But for some, it's a cold, hard reality that they're separated again. When the decorations will come down, and when you go back to school or you go back to work. When you have to pay off all those gifts that you just bought, right? The feelings of Christmas can be this distraction. The nostalgia of Christmas can be a distraction for us this time of year. It distracts us from the wonder of Christmas. See, it's not about the feeling of Christmas so much as it is about the wonder of Christmas. The feeling of Christmas can be this distraction, but we want to get to the wonder. I mean, nostalgia is great, but it can be a distraction. Listen, the feelings of Christmas can distract us from the meaning of Christmas. It's easy for all of us to do this. It's been a part of my life. It's been a part of yours. We get lost in the nostalgia. We get lost in the decorations. We get lost in the parties. We get lost in the Christmas and the shopping and the buying and all of this stuff. And we get lost in these things. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that. I'm just saying that if that is the reason for your season, then your season will be limited. But the wonder of Christmas, not getting lost in this idea of Christmas. Christmas is more than a feeling. It is the wonder of love. Christmas is about incarnation. Incarnation. What in the world does incarnation mean? Incarnation literally means in the flesh. Christmas is unlimited because of the love that God has shown us through the incarnation. That God would put on flesh. Incarnation shows us this boundlessness of love. Listen, feelings are limited. Feelings are bound up. Feelings can be hemmed in by expectations and unmet expectations. But love is boundless. You cannot put a border around love. You cannot put love inside of a box and hold it there. Love wants to get out. And God is love. And God became man because of love. Think about this divine being, a God, the infinite, the immortal, the all-powerful, the all-knowing, the creator of all things. Think about the limitations that God would have as a human. But love knew no bounds. He put on flesh. He put on mortality. He put on humanity. He humbled himself by submitting himself to this world. He chose to experience everything that you experience. God chose to suffer. God chose, I know that sounds crazy. How can a supreme being suffer? How can God experience pain? How can God experience lostness and loneliness and despair? How can a God who's all-knowing and all-powerful, how can God do that? Because he chose to give it up. If that's not love, what is? It's not a feeling. It's a choice. The incarnation shows us that love has no boundaries. God's love would not be bound even by his own deity. He overcame, he busted out of even his own deity, and he became a man, a human. It's not enough to say he loved us, but God said, I have to show them that I love them. Look at Philippians chapter 2. Incarnation as a choice that God made. Though he was God, he did not think equality with God as something to cling to. Next verse. Instead, he gave us this divine privilege. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, next verse, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. Why would God do this? Because he loves us. Christmas is more than nostalgia. Christmas is more than a feeling. Christmas is more than the warm fuzzies that we get this time of year. Christmas is love in action. Christmas is the wonder of a boundless love that God has for you and for me. And so God made this sacrifice, and he became man. But listen, boundless love wasn't meant to just be something for God. God intended to come and love us so that we might love one another. And that we might have this boundless love, this incarnational love for others. Look at 1 Thessalonians 3:12, and this is part of our text for the week. This is an unusual text for Advent. It's not a normal one that we look at. It's not one that we read. It's not in Luke, it's not in Isaiah. It's not really about the Christmas story or anything like that. But look what Paul says to this young church in Thessalonica. He says this to them. He's praying for them, and he's coming down to the end of the letter to them, and he's praying for them, and he's telling them, I care for you. I want your faith to grow. Look what he says. And may the Lord make your love for one another and for all people grow and overflow, just as our love for you overflows. Paul wants this church, this young church, to know that being a Christian, listen, is more than religion. Being a Christian is more than a religious system or a belief system. It's more than celebrating a season. It's more than celebrating a day of the year. Being a Christian is more than just putting on your calendar these religious things that we do and these disciplines that we do. Paul's saying, look, all of that is wonderful and great, but listen, I want your faith to grow. In verse 10, Paul says, I'm concerned about your faith. Just before this, Paul's writing them. He's saying, I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about your faith. I came to you. You gave your life to Jesus. You began to follow Jesus, but I'm concerned that your faith isn't quite what it needs to be. You and I might think, well, we got to try harder. You and I might think, well, I got to be more religious. I got to go to church more than once a month. Or I got to read my Bible more than once a year. Or I got to go to church more than Christmas and Easter, right? And you might think, I got to try harder. I got to be more religious. I got to do more. I got to show that I care more. And Paul's solution, though, to a strong faith had nothing to do with more education and more discipline and more religion. Look what Paul says. Paul's solution is that the Lord would make your love abound. There's two Greek words that Paul uses for increase and to overflow. And if you use these two words together, they reinforce each other. As a matter of fact, some of your Bible translations may not say grow and overflow. Some of your translations may say that your love may abound. That's all it says, just abound. Even though there's two words for the Greek, they put them together. It's this idea of abound. What does abound mean? It means there's no limits. There's no limit to it. Sure, your feelings come and go. Sure, you have these ups and you have these downs. Sure, you're going to have feelings of great feelings of this time of year, and you may have some bad feelings this time of year. But to be a person of faith, to follow Jesus, to be a Christian, has nothing to do with your feelings so much as it does your love. Your love for God and your love for others. Paul's prayer is that their love will be boundless. That it will have no boundaries, that it will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow until it overflows and gets everybody around them all loved up. Why should our love abound? Verse 13. May He, as a result, Jesus, make your hearts strong, blameless, and holy, as you stand before God your Father, when our Lord Jesus Christ comes again with all His holy people. Amen. There's the advent of this text. Advent is celebrating the first coming of Jesus, but also anticipating the next. When all the world will be set straight, when all this injustice will be made just, when all of this hatred will be overcome with love, when all that is going on in our world, the wars and the famines and all the stuff that's going on, when Jesus comes again, love will abound. Love is justice. Love is righteousness. Love is Jesus. He is King of all of it. And Paul knows this. And Paul is anticipating this. And so Paul's prayer for the Thessalonians, Paul's prayers for that little church in Thessalonica, is that their love may abound so that when you stand before Jesus when He comes, listen, that your heart will be strong and that you'll be holy and blameless. Love is what makes us holy. Not outward purity, but love. This Christmas, put up a tree. We put up ours. I got a really nice tree, man. Last year we started doing a live tree. We've always done a fake tree. We did a live tree. This year, man, I found it's pretty, ain't it, Liz? Beautiful tree. Put a tree up. I came home last night from the Michigan. Yeah, I went to a Michigan. Anybody see the Michigan State game on TV last night? See, there's no Michigan State fans here, Jake. I'm sorry, man. I wore my Penn State blue. No, I didn't. But we were all covered in snow and freezing to death, right? I don't even know where I was going with that. Went to the game. Came home last night. This is where came home, and the girls had put the lights on the tree. We're going to decorate it today. Put a tree up. Nostalgia's not bad. It's okay to have those feelings, those warm fuzzies. Get up early. Get that cup of coffee. Sit in the dark. Reflect on who Jesus is. Reflect on your life. Reflect on the people that you love. Sit there in the darkness with the Christmas tree and the candles flickering. Sit and wonder of the beauty of this time of year. But don't fail to do the most important thing. The reason for this season. Don't forget to grow your love for one another. Don't forget to grow your love for one another so that it will overflow in your life. Do not let love get buried beneath the busyness and the distractions and the angry shoppers and the worry about money and the worry about family and all of these things that push love out. Love is boundless, and it wants to go. It wants to flow. It wants to overflow. The feelings of Christmas will fade, but listen, the tree will come down. The decorations will be put away. Life will go back to normal, a normal grind for us. But the love you give this season is eternal The people that you love is forever. It is boundless. It's the stuff that will prepare you for the day that you need to stand before Jesus. And when he comes with his holy ones, he will take you in as one of them because you loved. My wish for you this Christmas is that you would be incarnational. Just as Jesus laid down all that he did so that he could come and be present with us, my prayer for you is that you too would find time to lay aside the busyness and the craziness and the stress and find time to simply be present with people, to love them, to love your family, but more than your family, love everyone. Find time to give. I pray that you forgive those who have hurt you. Love is not love unless you can forgive them. There are people in your life and this time of year that you are reminded of the fractured relationships that you have. I said in my prayer that it's like this time of year, our relational goods and bads are kind of turned up. We feel the good really well and we feel the bad even better. Who do you need to forgive in your life? Forgive them. Just forgive them. Don't require anything of them. Don't make them come to you. Just forgive them. Don't go to them and say, you ought to know how special you are because I'm forgiving you. Don't do that. Just forgive them. Just forgive them. I pray that you serve those who are not like you. I pray that you spend less and give more. I pray that you love like God loved you when he gave up his divine nature and his divine privileges to love us. I pray that your love will be boundless, that it will overflow in this community. Listen, those who love like Jesus will be with Jesus in the end. Let's love like Jesus.